is airplane delay and a cancellation. I'm sure if you watch the news, you already hear a lot of airplane got canceled, delayed during the Christmas Eve time. And later on, we went down and say we got the two canceled the first day, and we arrived at the airplane and then night, and then they told us, they say, oh, you might be able to get the second one tomorrow. When we arrived at the airport the next day, and then they told us, they say, your second stop airplane is already got to cancel. So it's put up in a very frustrating position. So this make us to deep thinking, what's wrong with the airplane industry? And we go back to dig out to find out that there's a key problem is because they are short of crews. So all kind of crews. So when they are short of crews and they end up in a situation, it's called a crewless. You have no idea what to do. So the first crew is, the airplane that fly by pilots. So normally in the old industry, the airline is small, so the one pilot is going to fly in one airplane. So you fly one spot to another one. So normally they assign one pilot to two airplane to schedule. But when the company tried to getting big, try to save the cost, you assign the pilots multiple times at the same time. So when this thing happened, a lot of scheduling issue. So when this one spotted to A to B because of delay, then this pilot will affect the second one. So when this situation getting worse and worse, especially in the Christmas time, and you got a problem. But of course, the pilot's expensive. So you cannot just assign one flight one day at a time. The second crew is because of the flight attendants. So when you go to a fly airplane, the best thing you get is they give you some drink and some snacks, but those things are important. But the flight attendant is much be used as well. That's getting even worse because their cost is more. When you have a lot of people try to serve you on the airplane, and they normally use, like for example, flight crews attendance is used probably 3 or 4 days. You need to attend 3 or 4 days. Each flight crew is going to attend 2 or 3 the airline trips. So when you put this one into a situation, if for example, when you travel, normally your plane got a delay is because your flight crew is not here. So if, for example, the flight crew from New Orleans come to Memphis, then go to Atlanta. So when you want to go to Atlanta, and then because the flight over here is got a delay, then yours is got a delay. Okay. So this is the second problem is when the airline and they try to save the cost, high as few as the flight attendant as possible, try to make their profit margin higher, so can save the money. But like I said, all the airline is so many airlines, so the organization is small, so they don't have a lot of line to schedule, and that's the situation is not so big. But right now, America is only down to like 4 bigger planes. So those 4 bigger planes, for example, the biggest one happened. The biggest problem is Southwest Airlines. In that Christmas time, they cancel 5,500 airlines in one day. So that's the serious problem. The last one I want to share with you is the crew. When they have a shorter crew and it's really got you problem. It's called the crew is developed the system, schedules the system. So it's kind of funny when I come back and I read the newspaper and I try to find out what's the real reason, because I'm a technical guy, so I watch this news. Many years ago, the union people and complained to the Southwest CEO say, this software supporting this scheduling system, how do you schedule those pilots, flight attendants, and then the airplane, how to schedule this thing is out of date. So they ask us, you say, you better spend some money and hire a developer to develop a new system So when situation happen, this will be resolved by itself quickly. But the CEO said, no, I don't think we need to spend that kind of big money on this one. So that's end up happening this Christmas time. So when this thing happened, they have this status change disk need to make the system know which flight attendant is not available for schedule or which the pilots will be available for the next flight. They need to move this disk to another location. Imagine this disk they told us, the disk moving actually is very like a manual. So the crew have to like really push your button or move disk to transfer over there. This got a delay. So ironic, today is like 2023. And this system is really out of date. So we don't have enough crew to support the system. That's why I say that all those three crew is so short. Of course, no wonder they are in a crewless situation. So end up 1 week ago, the CEO come out of Southwest, they have to spend like $2 billion, try to hire more people to develop this crew scheduling system. Hopefully they can fix the system so we can all come out to go take vacation next time when we don't have face this issues. Thank you very much. Project.
Okay, so the next speech will be made by High-End Fan, but I do not see Eric Treat in the call or in person. So, Mr. Horace Taylor, do you want to take his role? Just for a temporarily. Thank you. All right, so Horace Taylor will be the evaluator too. So now I'll give it to Miss Toastmaster Horace Taylor to introduce High-End Fan in her speech.
Good afternoon, Toastmasters. I'm honored to be a temporary evaluator. Hi, ma'am. This is going to be a surprise for me, as it is for you. But what I will listen to is how well you construct your speech, how well you transition from the opening into the body of it, and then your conclusion, and how you leave us with either an action item or recap some of the things that you touched on, that you will touch on in your speech. Back to you, sir. It's all yours.
Okay.
We can hear
All
you.
right. Happy New Year, everyone. Today is Chinese New Year first day. Does anyone know what year is this?
The bunny.
You are right. This year is the year of rabbit. And rabbit in Chinese, in Mandarin Chinese is 兔子. Okay, so Happy New Year to you. To you. Okay. All right. So I'm really happy to be have the honor to be this is my first time speak in your club. And I really want to, well, actually, can I share my screen?
Yes.
Okay. If I have the ability to share my screen, and I want to share my 2023 year vision. My 2023 year vision is make a good noise, get into good trouble, as John Lewis has said before, maybe 10, 30, 20 or 30 years ago. So this is during my last visit, the last day of 2022, when I visited the Crystal Bridge Museum. One of the special exhibition is called U.S. Constitution exhibition. And I was very inspired by the quote. And so I decided I put on my LinkedIn profile, and guess what? I have a lot, like 1,000 some impressions and lots of likes. I think a lot of people agree that we ought to make good noise and for the good reason. So today I actually want to share with you a very meaningful piece that I wrote an essay, a reflective essay that I have wrote during my a conference that I attended last December. Well, actually just a month ago. we went, actually, Joseph and I had the honor to go to represent our school to go to a conference called People of Color Conference for independent school students and teachers. So after that, it's a life-changing experience for me. And after that, I'm so inspired, and I decided to write an essay about my experience. So in my essay, I wrote 4 areas about this life-changing experience in terms of 4 areas of discovery. And then today, I want to share the last part of my discovery, which is discover of my people. So here it is. To the 2022 POCC, our school sent a total of 6 faculties and 6 students. Among the 6 faculties, 4 are white, 1 Cherokee Indian, and 1 Chinese American, that's me. Among the 6 students, 2 were African Americans, 2 were Asian Americans, 1 was Hispanic, and 1 was white. And among my white colleagues, I'm curious what their motivations is to attend the conference. And that's a very curious part in my discovery. In the 4 full days and 3 nights of conference time, I had the opportunity to interact with my colleagues at a much deeper level and to discuss thorny and touchy issues that we wouldn't have the luxury of time, space, or the emotional energy to discuss in the normal school setting. Every night at dinner table, we shared our thoughts and the reactions with the keynote speakers, through which I discovered that our basic ideologies are aligned. My white colleagues' commitment to building an equitable and just education system and society is just as strong as mine. Based on the foundation of trust, we then proceeded with sincerity and candidness to talk about what whiteness means to them and what it means to the people of color. My white colleagues acknowledged their awareness of their white privilege, while we also laughed at the toxic victim mentality that author and poet Nikki Giovanni has repeatedly joked about during her keynote speech. Based on the common shared understanding of each other, we started to share meals, not just meals, but food on the plates. Not just food on the plates, but leftover food on the plates. It's like, you don't have enough to eat yet? I don't want to waste my food. If you don't mind, take mine. I don't like my spaghetti crunchy. Oh, perfect. I like crispy spaghetti. I can take that from your plate. It was like, oh, wow, that's priceless and much more effective than any team building event that usually costs an organization an arm and a leg. I wish there were more conversations like that in the regular school setting. This fireplace moment, as keynote speaker Charles Vogel has put it, during a professional development training in the summer, I'm sorry, I'm going to skip this part and I'm going to jump to this part. Just as Prince Harry in his recent Netflix documentary says, his wife Meghan helps him to realize his unconscious racial bias. But after that, it is his own responsibility to educate himself. I would call on everyone, white people or people of color alike. This responsibility is shared, mutual, and two-way. Although human history has passed the dark age of colonial exploitation and the racial segregation, racial tension in North America and Europe is still the #1 problem to social stability. Educational equity and personal wellness. It's always easy to blame others. It's always easy to slip into self-pity. It's always easy to shut the door. These are the culprits of today's pandemic loneliness. 60 years after MLK, Martin Luther King's famous I Have a Dream speech, although boys and girls of all colors can attend the same school, can sit at the same cafeteria table in this country, yet they still cannot experience the joy, the pure joy of sharing each other's food, talking about their home food without feeling a bit awkward or embarrassed. Educators and teachers and school administrators, it's time for us to unite on this common goal. This dream of sitting together on the tables of brotherhood and sisterhood, tasting the food that our Mother Nature has provided us from her fields, mountains, and rivers, appreciating and celebrating the life of each other, giving thanks and gratitude of being alive. I'm going to stop my sharing right here. Thank you, Toastmaster. Back to you.
Okay, thank you all for those two amazing speeches. Now we'll go to the table topic session, and
Horace, it's volunteers. Horace,
Yes, I am ready.
okay, so Horace, take it away with the table topics.
All right. So I have a number of questions that I worked up, and I hope they are fitting. Put it this way, I know they are fitting. It's how well you respond to the questions. That's what's key. Mr. Timer, are you ready? Okay, here we go. Question number 1. Here we are at 3 o'clock, after 3 o'clock, almost 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The question is real simple. What was a really good part of your day today? What was a really good part of your day today? This question will go to Jonathan.
Hey, thank you for the question. Well, I would like to say that today, or Toastmasters session, is the funnest or the greatest part of the day, but I have to say that something else that happened earlier today was funner. So today was pretty unproductive for me and for the rest of my family because we decided to just go have brunch down at Rogers, which is a few minutes away. But basically, yeah, we spent a couple hours eating brunch. So I woke up at 9 o'clock ish. We got there at 11. We ate for like 2 to 3 hours. So now it was like what, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and then now we just had a Toastmaster meeting. So today has been really unproductive, and so that was part of the day, my favorite part of the day, because I was really looking forward to having this brunch because this is Chinese New Year, as you all know, and we've been planning to go eat out. And originally we were going to eat out on Friday, but we decided to go on today, and it was really delicious. So yeah, thanks.
Excellent. Keeping with that family theme, the next question is, tell us about your family dream vacation. Tell us about your family dream vacation. And this question will go to, let's see who's online. Joseph.
So the question is, tell us about my family dream vacation. Okay, so just to give you guys some context, my dad used to work for American Airlines, and one of the perks of working for American Airlines is we get to fly standby, which means we can basically get most of the time free flights that aren't taken on planes. So we've been doing that from elementary school up until around middle school, and we've flown all over the world. We've gone to Canada, through the States and the US, Asia, New Zealand, just to name a few, and Europe. But unfortunately, my dad left American Airlines and he is now working for a different company. So we do not have that perk anymore. And we've always wanted to go to Japan. We've never gone to Japan, and I've just seen so many videos on YouTube. Like I would just be scrolling on my phone on those YouTube shorts, and there are so many videos on like Japanese, like cool things about Japan and all that. And I just find that so fun to do. And I would just love to go there. Japan is such a beautiful country, rich culture, and Yeah, I want to go there right now. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. The next question is a school-related question. What are you looking forward to this week at school? What are you looking forward to this week at school? And I do believe we have a guest. I don't recognize, is that Daniel?
Yeah, that was you.
Thank you for the question. I would like to say, um, well, next week, well, tomorrow, the following week, in school, I would be looking forward to, well, my next club meeting, which is Science Olympiad. We recently did a competition over at White Station High. I didn't get to attend, unfortunately. But I would like to hear the results. And I guess another thing that I would be looking forward to is just seeing my friends and getting to talk to them, and all the classes I would be taking throughout the day or throughout the week. More important, well, what is kind of important to me is just keeping my grades up and making sure all my assignments are completed and turned in. Yeah, that's it.
Excellent, excellent. Let's see. Also school related. I can't see who's behind you, but I see the red jacket. So this question is for the red jacket, brother. What does your school not have that you wish it did have? What does your school not have that you wish that it did?
No. One thing in my school, so Y Station that doesn't have, is a ping pong table. As a child growing up, I've always liked to play table tennis. So I like playing ping pong. And also, they don't have a vending machine, so they need to change that real quick. Because as a student there, I get hungry sometimes, you know? And it's a great way to chit chat with friends when during break. So I think a vending machine and a ping pong table is a must.
All right, all right. Okay, guys, keep your eye on the timer. Make sure we hit that 1 minute mark.
Okay.
The next question, IT related. What is your favorite app and why? What is your favorite app and why? This question will go to the timer. Xavier.
Thank you for the question. My favorite app and why? I don't really have a favorite app, but I will say I shall go with Instagram. Now, here's why. Instagram is a good or somewhat good if you follow the right pages, good media source where you can still keep up with what's going on in the world, and also doubles over as a messaging app to where you can keep up with your friends and family that also use Instagram. Also, Instagram is a platform where you can share what you like to do, grow your page, and you can also make money off of Instagram. That's another thing you could do. Overall, although I don't really have a favorite app, if I had to choose an app that I would elect for it, it would be Instagram. Thank you.
The next question, I don't know where I am on time, but the next question is for one of the adults in the room. Let me put the question out there and then I'll call on you. What public figure do you admire the most? What public figure do you admire the most? Let's see who's hiding behind a face mask. Is that you, Anna?
Thank you, Horace, for that question. The public figure I would admire the most. Well, he is a previous president and he has already passed away. And his name is George Bush, the father. The reason I admire him, not because he has tremendous political accomplishments, but because he has the way he does things. He never go the easy way. He always choose the path that's probably very difficult, very unplausible, but he's an implacable man. He made a decision, he will go for it. I'm not applauding all his political method or policies, but I just admire that character of his, which is do not go the easy way. If it takes effort and time to do it right, do that way. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think this is my last question. Again, I don't know where we are on time, but this question deals with music. What music are you currently listening to that you think I may like? What music are you currently listening to that you think I may like? This question goes to, who is it? Don Gray.
Thank you, Toastmaster Taylor, for that question. That is a good question. I myself happened to be in a meeting a couple of days ago. It was like a little setting, and someone made mention, why don't you put some music on? And the first music they put on was blues. And I love blues. So I asked them, why you pick blues? And the answer was, because blues goes with all types of food. And I got to thinking about that. I said, that's right. If you're eating barbecue, fish, whatever food, and you happen to put on some blues music, it does make the atmosphere as you eat. It brings it to life. Of course, they could have put on some religious music, could have put on some soul music, could have put on some country, but they chose blues. And it was different types of musics, good with barbecue, good with just about any kind of food. So I recommend Horns blues. Blues soothes the soul. Thank you for that question.
Thank you so much. I believe my time is up. Let me get a check. Mr. Timer, where are we? Do I have a time for one more?
We are at 4:08. We can do another one.
One final question. And this will go to the president, the club president. He can already start to prepare his answer before the question is even asked. What is your favorite Showtime or movie or YouTube series? What is your favorite show or movie or YouTube series? Mr. President.
Okay, so for my favorite show, or I guess you could say this is kind of like a chain, but recently I've been really interested into college stuff. So I've actually been watching a lot of day in the lives of college. I don't know if you could consider that a show, but there's just a string of day in the lives of all types of things, like day in the life of an NBA player, day in the life of a college player. And I just kept on watching those. It originally started because I was panicking because my ACT score was not where I wanted to go, where I wanted to be. So I looked up tips on ACT, and that ended up me staying up all night watching videos on what to do to improve your ACT score. But along that line, I kind of got distracted and I began watching tips for college applications. Then that led to day in the life of a college student. And I found out that these were really interesting because when people say the college experience, a lot of people think partying. But the ones that I watched were no partying. There was just clubs. You get to learn a variety of new things. For example, one that I watched, he joined a dance club. Never did dance in his life, but he joined it because it's fun. And I just found that really a really dope thing. But then I looked at the title and it said A Day in the Life of a Student at UPenn. And UPenn is, if you didn't know, a top 10 school and really highly selective. So then that got me really sad for a second because like, oh no, I don't think I can get into UPenn. But on the bright side, I feel like any school could offer that as long as I make it like that experience. Thank you for that question.
Thank you for that answer. Well, that concludes table topics. And now I'll turn it back over to the Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you for that again. Now we will pass it over to Xavier Taylor for the time report.
Thank you, thank you. So first up, we had our first two speeches. For speech one, we had 5 minutes and 38 seconds. So good job staying in that time limit range. For Miss Hyen, a little bit over time. It was 7 minutes and 46 seconds. It's a bit over time. That's all right. It was an excellent speech. Our table topic sessions, Mr. Jonathan up first, 1 minute 13. Mr. Joseph up with 1 minute 20. Daniel up with 1 minute 4 seconds. As Mr. Horace referred to you, red jacket. 36 seconds. Me, I had 1 minute and 10 seconds. Miss Anna, 1 minute 11 seconds. Mr. Don Gray, 1 minute 2 seconds. And Peter Shee, 1 minute and 46 seconds. That is my timeless report for the meeting. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you for that, Xavier. Now, can we pass it over to, I believe it would be
I can do it.
Jen.
Who you want? Oh, the ground to Mario report.
We'll, no, I pass it over to the general evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Peter B. As the general evaluator, I'll be evaluating the whole meeting. If the meeting started, and I will even comment on everybody's speeches as a speaker. And if the whole meeting has areas to improve. So I'll bring up our first evaluator, that is Joseph. Joseph evaluating Jing Shi's speech.
Okay, so John, you had a very good speech, very interesting speech about the airline industry and flight attendants. So I have some comments though. I'd first like to touch on some of the things you excelled at, which are one, your hand gestures. At the beginning though, I saw your left hand was in your pocket. I probably would have seen that to me felt like maybe your left hand's kind of dead. But as you started speaking more, your left hand came out of your pocket and you used both hands to articulate yourself, which was very good. The second thing you excelled at was how you directly presented a problem at the beginning, and then the structure of your speech followed that with you talked about each point one by one, and it was very, very organized. Third of all, it was also on time, I believe at 5 minutes and 38 seconds. But if you have anything more to say, you could fill up the additional 1 minute 30 time that you're given. some of the things you may want to work on is to cut down on some of the improper speech. Mainly, I heard and like, and also or perhaps articulate yourself a bit more clearly, like what Miss Anna Zhang said earlier. And to do that, you can challenge yourself by practicing, I guess, more and try to be more conscious of using these different improper word usage when you're speaking. So I graded you based on how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 criteria: clarity, vocal variety, eye contact, gestures, audience awareness, comfort level, and interest. For clarity, I rated you a 4, excel, which you excelled at. And then, like I said earlier, perhaps articulate words a bit more clearly so that the audience can hear you even better. For vocal variety, I also rated you a 4. Perhaps do some more ups and downs. That would be really nice. For eye contact, I rated you a 5, exemplary. So for my screen, you didn't use any notepads or didn't read any cards, and you spoke directly to the audience. For gestures, a 5. For audience awareness, a 4. For comfort level, a 5. I saw you looked very comfortable and confident when you were speaking, and your use of your hands made that seem much like that. For your interest, also a 5. Your content was very interesting to me, as I'm also interested in aviation. And that is all. Thank you for your speech, and back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Joseph, for that evaluation. Very a lot of advices. I will move on to our second evaluator, and that is Horace, I believe. Yes, thank you, Horace.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Toastmaster Hyan, what a wonderful speech. You open with excitement. The idea of a new year after the new year shows what we know over here. We have the old year. That's the new year. I like that. Make a good noise. Get into good trouble. At 7 minutes, 46 seconds, you certainly brought good noise to our ears today. That was excellent. Your speaking cadence was, without a doubt, easy to follow along. Your clarity in the way you spoke, the purpose of the speech was heartfelt. Your vocal variety, everything about it, even the image that you used, how timely, how well fitting to the speech. As you took us through that experience, once you spoke and addressed the image, as you continued to speak, I thought perhaps that your slides or that your image would have changed to illustrate the points, the additional points that you were making. But each time I looked up, it was still on that first image. And I wasn't sure. I mentally, I was saying that, oh, I think she meant to advance the slide so that we would see the points, see an illustration behind it. Then I thought, well, maybe not. Maybe that wasn't the case. The fact that you had that one slide was excellent. However, if you intended to advance, we did not see the slides advance. So that would be the only thing that I could comment on to ask that you improve upon, just as you're going through the slides, advance them so that we, the audience, will see those salient points that you're absolutely making. And again, that was a wonderful speech. I totally enjoyed it. I recorded it and I will play it back because I learned a lot from it. Thank you so much. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
So first of all, we did start on time. Thank you, Xavier, for keeping us on track. And I'm glad we have a new guest. Well, actually, Daniel will be here staying, right? Yeah, so yeah, really appreciate Daniel joining the team, the group, the club. Sure, Daniel will find this group very interesting and at the same time offer a lot of opportunities for growth. The speech is gonna touch on Peter's as a topic master. Just one thing I want to point out is Peter started with a soft voice, and I would suggest him to enunciate, use the tongue and the lips a little more to make the pronunciation clear, because I do notice that people couldn't hear what you were trying to say. So that's just one minor thing for you to keep in mind. Two speakers and did great job. John, he did a pocket speech, very good speech, and made me learn a lot more about airline business, and especially Southwest. But I have to say, you know, we are not native speaker, so we tend to pronounce the word incorrectly. For example, you have crew and you have clue. So if you have crew and clueless, probably you can point out clue and CLUE.
That's why intentionally trying to confuse you.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay, but I feel it's even better to say clueless, CLUE, because it's kind of funny that way. You mean it's really cruel, but it's clueless. So I just my personal
No, that's good. That's good.
suggestion. Haiyan's speech, I really enjoyed Haiyan's speech. I really admire your intention to have that deep conversation on the dinner table with your white colleagues. A lot of us don't even have that courage to discuss things like that. So I think that's a really good thing to do. And we all should have that courage next time to discuss things like that. Table topics, Horace, thank you so much, Philly, for telling. I really enjoyed all the table topics. And the grammarian did a great job as grammarian. Xavier as a timer, always great job. And I do want to mention, we can use the word of the day. And also for the table topics, we want to hit 1 minute mark, not too short, not less than 1 minute. Just try to stretch to a minute, but finish before 2 minutes. The reason is that will train your thinking. You will have a time to organize yourself. You have beginning, body, and ending. 20 seconds, you wouldn't be able to do that. But 1 minute, you can. So it really gives you an opportunity to train your thinking. So that is my evaluation. And thank you very much. I will give the podium back to our Toastmaster and President.
All right. So thank you, Ms. Henry, for all that. So now we will assign roles for next week. I will take speaker.
There's one raised hand in the gallery.
Oh,
Thank you, Horace. Thank you, Mr. President. To Haiyan, I'm glad I tuned in today because I was looking forward to hearing you speak. I have one question and then a comment. Did you speak on a TED Talk? And the other thing was they had a conference, a white privilege conference here in Memphis, and I'm in the bookstore. But during the roundtable discussion, all of the people at my table were people of color. And at the conclusion of our conversation, we all identified the same one common enemy. But I'd like to know if your presentation is a TED Talk presentation and if we can access it. Back to you.
Miss Brittman, can I didn't quite catch the last 2 or 3 sentences you said. You said at your table of people of color and you came to the same conclusion and you have the same enemy and then
We all realized that we had the same one common enemy.
yes. And then what is that? And then did you continue to say that? And afterwards I didn't quite catch.
And after that, I just asked if your presentation was a TED Talk presentation as well.
Oh, yeah, I only did one TED Talk presentation, which is about learning Chinese and in a new way. But to answer your question about what is the common enemy of this racial issue, I think our common enemy is our own ignorance and our own close-mindedness. And people, I think just people when they're see, it's naturally like when people see something different from them, they just naturally have the instinct to repel. And if you allow your heart to submit to fear, and then that will control your mind to close it. Once your mind is closed, you stop exploring, you stop being curious about why that person make that comment, and then what is their motivation. And then from there, you just start to assume. But the thing is that you cannot assume because from your box, you just cannot assume what other people's in the other box were thinking and seeing. So that makes a lot of miscommunication. Where basically sometimes when you see politicians debate, and there was a perfect metaphor they're saying when they make when you see polished politicians, when they make debates on the platforms, they make a perfect stroke across the tennis court, only that they are playing at the different court. So they're not talking to each other. They're just making their own point. So people, I felt, especially these days, social media is great. You talk about Horace, you asked about apps are great, but sometimes when people are so, when they're not seeing face to face, and they're just seeing some snippet of comments on the internet, they just jump onto a conclusion based on what they understand. And if you just assume that you understand, you do not. And then the worst things is that these days we are not reading histories enough. We are not reading books enough. We don't know the back history, just jump onto the conclusion. That's really, I think the common enemy is everybody has to reflect on ourselves. There's one very short New York Times the shortest novel is that what's wrong with this world? And then the shortest one is 2 words, I am.
Thank you. All right. Thank you for all that.
Thank you.
We would now go ahead and real quick. So who would like to be Toastmaster? Xavier will be Toastmaster. Thank you for that. I will be speaker 1 for next week. And who would like to be my evaluator? All right, thank you, Horace Taylor. I'll let you know in advance that mine will be about affirmative action. So yeah. Speaker 2, Daniel will be speaker 2. Who would like to evaluate him? All right, Miss Anna will evaluate. Who would like to be grammarian?
Jonathan raised his hand to evaluate Daniel.
Oh, Jonathan will be the evaluator too. And Mom, if you would like to be grammarian, can you take that role? Who online would like to be the timer? Thank you, Don Gray, for taking that role. And general evaluator, Who would like to be the general evaluator for next week? Well, can you just do that? Okay.
You have to remember, Anthony, will you take a general evaluation?
I'll take it.
Okay.
Okay. Alright, I believe that is all. Oh, table topics, master,
Table talking master.
table topics.
Joseph.
Joseph will be table topics master as well. Thank you all for coming. I'm sorry, I have to get to another class. That's why I was kind of rushing through it. But thank you all for coming. I hope to see y'all next week.
Good job.